Today we're looking at 6 bows that can fail right when you need them the most. Not necessarily because they're no good, but because sometimes small issues tend to get ignored until real pressure shows up. Bows are some of the simplest machines around, but they're not foolproof. Rain on the string, a fogged peep, or a shaky shot can wreck everything. So which bows fall apart when conditions stop being perfect? Real quick, before we get into bows betraying people at the worst possible times, hit subscribe. Unlike a fogged peep sight, it actually helps you see more clearly. Number 1. The rain-soaked bow. A bow can look perfectly fine in the rain, which is why a rain-soaked bow can be tricky. Most modern bows are not made of sugar. A compound or recurve with aluminum, carbon fiber, waxed strings, or sealed wood can survive wet weather just fine. But the problem is that survival is not the same as performance. Picture this. Imagine your bow in wet brush, rain dripping off the limbs, the grip slick, the archer trying to get one clean shot before the window closes. You can still draw it, the arrow still knocks, everything is still usable. Then the little problems start stacking up. Water gets on the sight ring, a droplet hangs in the peep, the target starts looking fuzzy, feather fletchings flatten and clump. The arrow gets a little heavier, the tab or glove gets soaked, and the grip on the string no longer feels the same. A rain jacket brushes too close to the string path. Now, none of those things sound too dramatic by themselves, but put them all together, and suddenly the bow that grouped well on a dry range starts feeling like a stranger. An archer can still shoot in the rain, but the bow has to be managed. The string needs to be kept waxed. Wet gear needs to be wiped down. Tabs and gloves should stay dry when possible, and the string can be plucked a couple of times before shooting to shake off water. Number 2. The neglected bow. The neglected bow is the one that scares experienced archers more than beginners. A beginner may only see a bow that still looks mostly intact, but someone who has spent time around strings, limbs, cams, and risers sees stored energy waiting for an excuse. This is the bow that sat in the garage, got tossed in a vehicle, rode through heat and cold, came out for a few practice sessions, then went right back into storage. Nobody checked the serving, nobody looked closely at the limb tips. Nobody ran fingers down the string to feel for flat spots, rough sections, or broken strands hiding under the center serving. Then one day, that bow gets drawn like nothing is wrong. And that is the worst time to figure out that something actually was wrong. A string can have cuts, nicks, abrasions, loose fibers, fraying, severe fuzzing, or serving separation. A cable can stretch. A knocking point can wear. A peep can twist badly because the string is tired. Limbs can develop cracks, splinters, and delamination. Cams can stop rotating cleanly. Screws and bolts can loosen just enough to add vibration, noise, or inconsistency. And the bow may still draw, but still draws is a low bar when the entire system is under load. The failure here is not always cinematic. Sometimes it's just a noisy shot, a weird vibration, or a group that opens up, maybe even a release that feels a little off. Other times, it's much worse. Damaged components, broken strands, or a failure under draw that can injure the shooter or anyone nearby. A bowstring should be looked at and felt. The limbs and riser should be checked. Hardware should be tight. String loops should sit where they belong. Brace height and string length should not drift without being noticed. Odd sounds like clicking, popping, or snapping deserve attention before another arrow gets sent. And if your bowstring has better maintenance habits than your subscription list, fix that real quick. Hit subscribe. It's much easier than tuning a bargain bin compound. Speaking of which, number 3, the bargain bin bow. An El Cheapo bow usually starts with a harmless thought. I just want a bow, not a serious setup. Not something expensive, just a cheap online kit, maybe a budget recurve, maybe a compound with a camo finish, a few mystery arrows, maybe a plastic-looking sight, and enough accessories in the box to make it feel like a deal. But that's a trap. Cheap gear can work. That does not mean it works well, works safely, or works when pressure arrives. A low-end recurve can feel flimsy in the hand, the grip may be thin, the design may be too basic to grow with. Vibration and hand shock can make every shot unpleasant. Some ambidextrous risers leave poor arrow clearance, so arrows come out badly before the archer even knows what clean arrow flight feels like. The bow throws arrows, but it does not teach much beyond frustration. Cheap compounds bring their own problems. Poor quality control, cheap parts, fragile sights, weak rests, rough accessories, generic arrows, and almost no repair support can turn a starter kit into a dead end. Also, some cheap bows arrive with draw weight that is not what the listing claimed. A bow marked one way may measure several pounds lighter or heavier. That matters. A beginner can end up fighting more weight than expected, while a hunter can unknowingly end up below a required minimum. Then come the smaller defects. Limb flaws, sharp tip overlays that can cut into strings, delamination, loose limbs, missing bushings, bad arrow rest adhesive, wrong brace height, limb twist, negative tiller, cracked handles, poor packaging, and listings written by people who barely seem to understand what they're selling. The bargain bin bow may shoot, but it may not be consistent, smooth, safe, repairable, or worth trusting. Cheap arrows make the problem even worse when they're too stiff, too thick, or poorly matched. They may look shiny, but if they do not fly straight, they're just an expensive frustration with feathers. A decent bow does not have to be fancy. It doesn't need to impress anybody, but it should be sound, serviceable, and matched well enough that the archer can actually learn from it. The bargain bin bow fails because it sells the feeling of being equipped while quietly taking away consistency. Number 4. The too heavy bow. More draw weight sounds like more power. More power sounds like better hunting performance. And better hunting performance sounds like the smart choice. Then the bow gets drawn in the real world, and the truth shows up fast. Now, being overbowed does not mean that the archer cannot pull the string back once. That's the part many people misunderstand. A person can muscle a bow back and still be overbowed. The real question is whether the bow can be drawn properly, held steadily, and shot repeatedly with clean form. A bow that is only a few pounds too heavy can start changing everything. The archer points the bow towards the sky just to get it moving. The shoulders and back strain. The anchor becomes inconsistent. The sight picture shakes. The release gets rushed. The shot turns into a race to get rid of the arrow before the hold falls apart. On the range, that means sloppy groups and bad habits. In the field, it gets more serious. If a hunting bow cannot be drawn smoothly and held steady for 5 to 7 seconds with proper form and muscle engagement, that bow is not helping the shot. It is stealing control from it. There is also the endurance problem. Archery is not just one pull. It is repeated drawing, aiming, settling, letting down when needed, and doing it again without falling apart. A bow that feels manageable for 1 pound draw in the backyard can feel completely different after practice arrows, cold muscles, awkward footing, or pressure. It's why light training limbs and gradual increases are a must. Learn the form first, build strength second, and seriously, move up in small steps. Do not let ego, internet advice, shop pressure, or hunting bravado choose a draw weight that the body cannot control cleanly. The too heavy bow fails because it trades control for bragging rights. Power matters, especially for hunting, but power without stability is just noise before a bad arrow. Number 5. The out-of-tune bow. Your bow's limbs are there, the string is there, the sight is mounted, the arrow launches. Nothing has to snap, crack, or fly apart, but the bow simply does not send the arrow away cleanly. It can happen through bad timing, poor center shot, incorrect arrow spine, wrong nock height, bad peep alignment, cam lean, poor brace height, wrong string length, or arrows that are just not built straight. A bow can be strong, expensive, and well cared for, but if the setup is off, the arrow gets the final vote. One sign is the arrow lifting during the draw. Another is bad paper tears. Groups open up even when the archer is doing his part. Broadheads hit far away from field points. The bow feels strange, loud, or less forgiving. The arrow kicks sideways, porpoises, or leaves with ugly flight. With fixed blade broadheads, those little problems get magnified fast because the broadhead can steer the arrow off course. Cam lean is a good example. If the cams do not line up with the string can move sideways during the draw and whip back during a release. That can throw the tail of the arrow aside, creating fletching contact, and make the arrow rebound in a direction nobody asked for. Mistimed cams can cause tail high or tail low tears that do not disappear just because someone nudges the knocking point. Traditional bows have their own version of this too. Brace height and knock set still matter. The right string length can make the bow quieter, smoother, and more efficient. The wrong setup can make it loud and touchy. The arrow itself matters too. Nock, shaft, insert, and broadhead need to line up. If a hunting arrow does not spin true, it should not be trusted for hunting. Use it for practice with field points, not for the shot that counts. Number 6. The pressure shot bow. The pressure shot bow is the hardest one to talk about because the bow may look and feel mechanically fine. Nothing is broken, the string is waxed, the arrows are matched, the tune is good, the draw weight is reasonable. Then a deer steps into range, or the shooter stands on a competition line, or people start watching, and suddenly that same bow feels a little different. It's because pressure changes everything. A calm sight picture turns jittery. The release hand tightens, breathing shortens, the shooter starts running out of air. The bow gets held too long. The shot gets rushed. The normal routine gets bent out of shape because the mind has wandered from execution to outcome. A good archer may shoot great in the backyard and still struggle when the arrow matters. Some people call that being a backyard champion, and it is a painful label because it can be true. The skill is there, but pressure pulls small cracks out into the open. Accuracy depends on more than aiming at the middle. A bow needs stable posture, steady muscle engagement, clean drawing arm movement, and a controlled follow-through. If the body sways more, the bow moves more. If the hand tenses, the release changes. If the routine gets skipped or rearranged, consistency goes with it. Even something that seems harmless, like changing nose position or holding a little longer than usual, can pull the whole shot off rhythm. Good thing the fix is pretty simple. Shoot around people, join leagues, shoot 3D, keep score, record practice if that adds pressure. Use visualization, put small stakes on practice shots. Build a pre-shot routine so reliable that the mind has something useful to hold on to when nerves show up. If the routine breaks, let down and start over. So, to reiterate, a pressure shot bow fails because pressure exposes the whole system. The bow may be simple, but the shot is not. When the heart rate climbs and the pin dances, preparation becomes the difference between a clean release and one more arrow the archer wishes he could take back. And that's it for our breakdown of the 6 kinds of bows that fail when you need them the most. If you've had a bow act strangely in the rain, under pressure, or after bad maintenance, drop your experience down in the comments below. Seriously, we do read them, and we'd like to hear your story. Make sure to hit like, share this with your hunting crew, and subscribe for more archery breakdowns.